guys, and welcome to the start of Spoopy Month. So, we are back, still reviewing the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Hopefully this month we will actually get through all of them, seeing the past 2 years I have tried to do this and fallen on my face both times, so we'll get through at least the ones that exist, because we all know a new one will exist at the end of the month anyway. But anyway, so this is episode 13! Woo! Spoopy! So, anyway, it debuted in season 14 because they're all staggered off by a season from what the actual number is. But this one, unlike some of the others leading up to it, actually feels like it's hitting the vibe again of being actually worthy of the Treehouse of Horror title. Whereas some of them, it felt like they weren't even trying anymore. They just felt like they were random little vignettes that were too short to be a full episode, so they just threw them in here and called it a day. No. These actually feel Halloween-y. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I feel like I vaguely remember this episode, at least parts of it. I remember the first and the third segments of it. The second one, for some reason, didn't ring any bells with me. Maybe it was forgettable. Maybe I missed that part. I don't know. But I feel like I've seen the beginning and the ending before anyway. But I watched it, obviously, all the way through to do this. So, the first segment, after the little intro where the Simpsons are doing, like, a seance in their kitchen with Ned Flanders trying to summon Maud Flanders, which Ned is a little iffy about being too PG-13 for him, but actually does, in fact, succeed at summoning Maud. But she basically just introduces the episode, so it wasn't much anything. They never go back to it. I was kind of hoping they'd go back to it, but they didn't, but oh well. So, first of the 3 segments in this one is Send in the Clones, which is like a multiplicity spoof. This one, as you can imagine, there are clones in it, because of course there are with a title like that. Who'da thunk it? So basically, Homer is just lounging on the hammock, and Marge is upset that he's not doing any of his chores. He's like, oh, I'd really like to, but I mean, somebody just made me too many pancakes, and now I gotta sleep them off. And she's like, yeah, those were for the church function. Were they? Were they? So, yeah, he's like so heavy now from eating all those pancakes that his hammock breaks on the spot and he falls on his ass. But then the hammock vendor is walking by, because hammock vendors are a thing in this universe, apparently. And apparently it's early for the day, so Homer goes through a hammock a day? Canon? Question mark? So he goes to buy a replacement hammock, and he is given the warning that for as much joy as this will bring him, it will also bring evil. And he's like, yeah, give it to me. So he hooks it up, goes to lounge in it, and immediately a second Homer pops out of it. It's just a clone of him. No belly button, he notices right off the bat. Much dumber version of him who can't really speak properly. So he's like, okay, you go change that light bulb up there. He electrocutes himself and dies, so he's like, ah, shit, I have to get rid of that. He had a good run. Tries to haul him over the fence, but too heavy, so he decides, I'm gonna make another clone to help me ditch him over the fence. So he does, and they do, which, how did that not raise any red flags to anybody? I don't know, we're not supposed to think of that. So then he sends off the clone to do more chores, but then the clone is like, I need a clone for that. He's like, hey, you can't... That's an idea. So they both hop on the hammock, and now 2 more clones pop out. And suddenly he's like, oh, this could work to my benefit. So now he's suddenly got like a team of clones that he is working on making, so they can just do all the things while he lays back and does fuck all. Sounds like a perfect world for Homer. Eventually gets to the point where he's got like 20-odd something of them going at once, so they can like make breakfast in the kitchen for the family. The fact that it takes 23 clones to make breakfast, I don't know. But Marge is most impressed because she has no idea what's going on. And all is well until she suddenly is so happy with this that she wants to, go upstairs for some nookie time. But it with a clone, and he's like, no, I can take it from here. And the clones try to fight him for it, and this is where he decides, maybe I should ditch the clones. So he drags them out to a cornfield and, like, shoots any of them that can remember the way home. Dumps the rest. Now unfortunately, he was dumb enough to dump the hammock with the clones, who are now making more clones and more clones and more clones, and now there's just a horde of the Homer clones. And they start to wreak havoc on the town. And basically, like, the CIA has to get involved for what do we do about these clones. And eventually, Lisa is the one that decides she knows how to deal with them. They get ginormous donuts swinging from helicopters and lead them to their death into a ravine. At which point it seems like, okay, problem solved. And Homer goes to sleep with Marge, and she's like, wait, no belly button. My Homer's dead! But then, oh hell with it. Good enough. And that's the end of that segment. A little spoopy, a little silly, but I liked it. So the second one, I have to look at the title because I will never get the title correct if I don't, is The Fright to Creep and Scare Harms. You can see why I had to look at the title because I was like, there is 0% chance of me getting that correct by memory. So anyway, this one, basically, Lisa's goldfish dies, so they go to bury it in a cemetery. So I'm thinking, of course, this is going to turn into a pet cemetery thing. It does not. Exactly. Not with animals, anyway. So, as she's burying the goldfish, she's just kind of taking notice of some of the other gravestones around and, like, the years on them and reading epitaphs, and one catches her attention that it was his dream to live in a world without guns, and she decides in that moment that she's going to live out his dream for him. And she actually somehow gets the whole town on board with this to turn in their guns, and they're a completely gunless town now, completely defenseless, including the cops. At which point a zombie bursts through the grave with guns. He's like, no guns, you say, basically. And now his zombie cronies that are also buried with him are also popping up. The Hole in the Ground gang. So we've got Frank and Jesse James, the Sundance Kid, and Kaiser Wilhelm II that also pop out. Again, I had to reference that because I never would have gotten that correct. And they start wreaking havoc on the town now, which is just all bad. But Professor Frink has a time machine. They can go back in time and get the guns back. But of course, leaving Homer in charge of this doesn't go quite as to plan, so there's a second Homer that has to come back with another time machine. And also fix it further, but it's kind of ridiculous. Eventually, Moe takes off with the time machine to go get some caveman hookers, in his words. Because Moe. But yeah, it is completely ridiculous, over the top, but again, zombies, it goes with the Halloween vibe. I can see that one. It's fitting. It works. I liked it. So then the last one was the Island of Dr. Hibbert. This is the only one out of the three where I'm like, you're kind of starting to lose it with the Halloween vibe on this one a little, but the other two were good enough to where I can forgive it. So this one was a parody of the Island of Dr. Moreau, which I feel like I have seen at some point in time the real thing of that. So I got the references right away, even as a kid I guess I was a teenager when this one came out, but I definitely understood the reference. Basically, they go on vacation to this island, but totally not at all alarming that the island is shaped like a skull. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, Dr. Hibbert has apparently lost his damn mind in this one, and is doing experiments on the people of Springfield who've gone on vacation here, and is one by one transforming them into animal versions of themselves. Because isn't it better to be an animal than a human, apparently, by his logic? Like, Marge gets turned into, like, a panther thing. I think Lisa's like an eagle. Forget what Maggie is. I think she's like an anteater. At one point, Lisa's, like, trying to eat Maggie. I forget what Bart was. But regardless, everyone in town gets changed into animals. Homer is very against this until Dr. Hibbert is trying to explain his logic on it. And suddenly, when it's put to him as all you have to do as an animal is just eat and sleep and mate and sleep and eat and mate. So where he's like, wait, where do I sign up? So he gets turned into a walrus, which fitting, and it's still somehow skinnier than regular Homer was, so whatever. I think Flanders was like a centaur? Question mark? Like either a centaur cow, I want to say. Unless there's a better name for that. I know Mr. Burns was a fox. Bart's teacher, I want to say, was a kangaroo. But, like, it goes on and on. Like, everybody was animals in this. But, I guess it all worked out in the end, because now everybody's animals and they're just living their best animal lives. Till, they eat each other. But they don't show that part. That's just assumed. But, yeah, that one, like I said, that one was kind of weak compared to the other two. But the other two stood strong enough to where I would still give this episode, like, a 4 out of 5. I like this one. It feels like they're definitely putting in effort again into this versus the others where they just had stopped. And I want to say this must have been around the time that they switched the animation style from, like, the traditional cell shading, like, hand-drawn animation over to the digital stuff. Because it definitely looks different from the last one. I know I haven't even revisited this project since last year, but even just going by memory, I'm like, right there, that looks different. I would put money on it that this has got to be, like, the season where it switched. So, anyway, just, like, it's just a footnote. It's not even hardly worth mentioning, other than I noticed it, therefore I'm mentioning it. But yeah, so, overall, it was fun. I would recommend this one. This one is not a skip-worthy. This is pretty good. Not the best one ever, but I mean, it's pretty solid. It's pretty good. So, I think they could get away with still re-airing this one today and it would still hold up. So, anyway, that is about it for this one, guys. So, as usual, you know what to do. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more. It's all down below. And if you'd like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Anyway, guys, until next time, see ya.